Material wealth is not achieved by brute force. It is achieved by human intelligence. It is achieved by the thought and labor of free men, men who are not enslaved and ordered by the state. America's material wealth is the physical symbol and product of the greatest spiritual, moral, heroic stature that mankind has ever seen in history. The stature of a country which for the first and only time in history had been built on the concept of man's inalienable right to exist, on the concept of respect for man's individual rights. American wealth, unmatched anywhere on earth, is the result of that philosophy. That is what Americans are and should be proud of. And they should ask themselves, isn't it about time to stop attacking America for her greatest virtue, her wealth and her productive power, to stop apologizing for America's achievement by comparing her to the starving hordes of mankind on all other continents, ruled by the philosophy of mysticism, altruism, and collectivism, which is now encroaching upon this country. Isn't it time to check our national premises and to take pride in the philosophy which made us great? If you see a horde of savages advancing upon you, who have previously announced that they intend to exterminate and enslave you, wouldn't you be justified in feeling the danger and the necessity of taking action against it? And if you see among your fellow citizens men who openly declare that their allegiance belongs to that savage horde, that they are communists or fellow travelers or sympathizers of communism, and they intend to enslave the rest of us, isn't that cause for feeling the rational fear of realizing that one is up against a deadly enemy and that the battle is serious, that it is not to be solved by hope and trust, but by clear policy and a consistent philosophy, including a morality that opposes evil of that kind firmly, fearlessly, and self-righteously? Whose goals and objectives are we supposed to pursue? This is an almost explicit declaration that America should become the slave, serve, and unpaid servant, the sacrificial animal to the needs of the rest of the world, for the reason that the rest of the world is perishing of envy of American power, and therefore is entitled to our unrewarded self-sacrifice, to our help and our wealth, whereas we Americans are not entitled to any rights, nor to the product of our own effort, nor even to our lives. Why? Because we have achieved that which the whole world envies. I quote from the New York Times of December 26, 1967. Pope Paul wished the world true peace and true happiness, in contrast to mere pleasure and dolce vita in his Christmas message to the city and the world. The pontiff said, "Too often, modern man confuses happiness with a frenzy of intensity, of enjoyment, or of carefree living." Dolce Vita, the title of the famous Italian film in the Pope's Italian text. And with mere pleasure, satiety of earthly fulfillment, a hedonistic well-being, close quote. In other words, a frenzy of happiness, of intensity, of enjoyment, of carefree living is evil. Man should not aim at earthly fulfillment, nor even at well-being. Man should not seek happiness on earth. He should sacrifice himself. We should all strive, struggle, sacrifice, and perish, but never enjoy our life on earth. This is a very ancient and very profound philosophical line. The Pope spoke of immense dangers caused by the irreligious orientation of the modern mentality. Faith is a mysterious gift which demands docility and responsiveness. Close quote. It is not difficult to see at what enemy this type of statement is directed. The enemy is man's mind, man's independent reason, man's individual conscience. Man should not exercise it. According to this school of thought, they should give in their intellectual freedom in order to practice faith, docility, and responsiveness. That line is not confined to the Catholic Church. This is what is offered to the youth of today as a new, modern, progressive, rebellious trend. If it is a rebellion, it is a rebellion against man and against man's mind. It is the blind alley, the dead end of altruism, collectivism, and mysticism in the modern world. The pathetic and tragic element of their celebration is that they did not realize they were supporting and endorsing the abolition of individual rights, the enslavement and immolation of the individual to the totalitarian state, the welfare state. Who then are to be the rebels and the standard bearers of the future? One does not rebel by being more royalist than the king or more altruist than today's establishment. An actual rebellion has to challenge basic premises. The rebels and the standard bearers of the future are those who have the courage to advocate reason, capitalism, and man's individual rights, a man's right to exist for his own sake. It is not too late. That battle and that rebellion are barely beginning. But that is what the world needs today and is waiting for. And if the world is to have a future, then it is the rebellion of man, of man's self-esteem, of man's reason, against the perishing altruist collectivist mystic that will give the world its future and its freedom.